G'day battlers, and today we're doing some more Nightfall Cup battles using the number 1 and number 2 in the world's Nightfall Cup teams, trying them out, seeing what we can do. So we're starting off here with Hot Pocket's team, number 1 in the world, who's got Venusaur, Shadow Lapras, Noctowl, Medicham, Frostlass and Galarian Stunfisk. Unfortunately we didn't have a Shadow Lapras ready, so we are using regular Lapras, but here we go nonetheless. We had a really good lead there with Galarian Stunfisk, up against Tazza here by the way. So they swapped into Swampert and that lets us swap into this Lapras. So Lapras is going to have an alright time here. We throw the first Surf and it does go through. Shadow Lapras is going to operate a little bit different than our Lapras. That basically the Shadow Lapras gives up some of Lapras's bulk to be able to do more damage with the Surf. So Surf is a really spammy move, and we're actually going to see some Shadow Lapras action later on in the video. So don't think that just because we're using regular Lapras, we are going to see some Shadow Lapras later on. So do stay tuned for that. But Lapras, that Surf does go through and we're able to take out that Swampert. No shields burned at this point. That along the Ninetales comes back in and takes out our Lapras. So we can kind of bring in either pick here, sort of. We decided to bring in Galarian Stunfisk though, and it turns out that it was really good there because what they've got in the back is Frostlass. So basically, Galarian Stunfisk is really good up against Alolan Ninetales, and it's really good up against Frostlass. Noctowl is going to be pretty bad up against the Frostlass, and then against Alolan Ninetales it does kind of okay. It is still an Ice type, so it's going to be able to do a lot of stuff with the damage, with its damage output. So we swap into Noctowl to catch this Avalanche from the Frostlass, just to kind of eat up its energy a little bit, maybe get a Sky Attack off before we go down. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that off before we get Patterson down, so I think like in net, we either had no effect on the Frostlass's energy or we just kind of reduced it down a little bit. Not sure which is the case, but it doesn't really matter because we just mud shot down that Frostlass and we just have Rock Slide ready to go onto this Alolan Ninetales. We almost did a second one, they still have one shield, so this Rock Slide should burn that last shield, and then we have a shield ourselves. Alolan Ninetales is not going to be able to get to 2 charge moves over the course of this battle, so we throw the second one, it will land. It's not going to quite take out Alolan Ninetales, we're going to need another one. But we're definitely going to be able to get to that before Alolan Ninetales gets to another charge move. So it does get to a charge move here. We just shield up. We've clicked on the Rock Slide already. So it's going to go through, take out Alolan Ninetales, and that is GG's on game 1. Hot Pocket's team coming to the rescue, taking out game 1. But yeah, actually, Hot Pocket was in the finals, or maybe like the third last or second last round in that 7-0 sweep we covered from Big Green. So do check that out. Check that out up there if you haven't already. Now going into game 2, we're seeing Medicham versus Surfetch. Surfetch, actually, I'm shouting out all the videos here. I actually have a video all about Surfetch in the Nightfall Cup as well, so you can click up there to watch that. Those 2 videos will be linked at the end of the video. So they end up swapping out into Medicham of their own. We bring in the Frostlass here. Frostlass is going to be in a pretty good spot up against this Medicham. Thinking this is probably going to be a Psychic, we do burn the shield here, and we did call correctly that it was the Psychic. Not like Psychic is a one-hit KO by any means, but we kind of just wanted to make sure that we were going to win this matchup. We go for the Shadow Ball thinking that they'll think that it's a bait and let it go through, and they do let it go through. I mean, maybe they didn't think it was a bait, maybe they were just happy to let Medicham go down. Although they do have Surfetch here as well, and Surfetch is definitely going to struggle a little bit. Surfetch actually has Night Slash though, so it can do a lot of damage to Frostlass, and we're actually going to let it come through, take out the Frostlass, because we figure, hey, Medicham is probably our way to go. We've got the energy, and Medicham just might have a bit utility, bit more utility going into the next battle. So bring it in, throw the Ice Punch, get that first shield, sorry, and they swap into Frostlass. So at this point we're kind of going, ooh, this is a little rough because Venusaur and Frostlass actually tie in the lead scenario, and the fact that the Frostlass already had the energy advantage really puts us on the back foot here. So we go for this first Frenzy Plant, really just hoping that Frostlass doesn't shield so we can kind of bring it down, and they do shield. They definitely get to an Avalanche before we can get to this Frenzy Plant, but we get the Frenzy Plant off first. I'm not sure if that was an overtap, if they were trying to farm up more energy so they could have energy to go into the next battle, but able to take out the Frostlass, and then in comes the Surfetch in the back. Surfetch not quite able to counter us down before we get this Frenzy Plant. Able to hang on. I was trying to farm up energy to throw energy onto our Medicham in the back, but yeah, able to clutch that one out, and that is GG's. So going to battle number 3, this is at a really bad lead here with Galarian Stunfisk versus Medicham. We swap into our only Medicham counter, Frostlass. A little bit rough, but we'll see how we do. Tazza swapped into the Alolan Ninetales, which is pretty rough for the Frostlass here. We go for the Shadow Ball, hoping that it goes through and lands a nice little nuke. It does get shielded though. There's no real reason why we go for Avalanche except for the bait. But we do get a second Shadow Ball off before we go down, which is fantastic. Really forcing Tazza to make some decisions here and lets it go through. He's still going to be able to charm us down. So that actually just kind of worked out really well for Tazza there. They are down a shield though, which is kind of, a little rough. We'll see how this battle plays out. We bring in Galarian Stunfisk because we know we can tank any charge move from that Alolan Ninetales. So bring it in, Mudshot down so we have a ton of energy to go into whatever comes in next. Kind of expecting that Medicham to come back in and put us in that rough situation again. there's the Medicham. Not sure if that was like, if they swapped into something and then swapped, or I don't know, the visual was just a bit weird there, but we go straight for the Earthquake, does land and does a nice chunk of damage onto that Medicham. And we actually get to the Rock Slide before we can get countered down. Again, Tazza just not able to farm us down before we get the charge move off and really working to our advantage there. They now have no more shield. So we bring in the Lapras here. Lapras should be able to Ice Shard down. We've got 2 shields, so in case this is a dynamic punch, we want to shield up. Is the Psychic though, which would still do a fair chunk of damage to the Lapras. Hoping that we can Ice Shard down now, but Medicham gets another charge move off. We go, hey, let's risk it for the biscuit, burn another shield here, keep Lapras nice and healthy, and get these charge moves off onto whatever is in the back. And it is Frostlass in the back, so these surfs are going to do a nice chunk of damage because Lapras really doesn't care about the avalanches coming through and is going to be able to outbulk a Shadow Ball as well. So these surfs are just kind of going to spam, add up, do some nice damage onto the Frostlass, kind of hoping that we can sack swap our Galarian Stunfisk. And the switch timer just ended, but we overtapped, hit an extra quick move, so Frostlass is able to get this charge move off onto the Lapras as intended instead of our low health Galarian Stunfisk, and the switch goes through after, so that's when we're like, oh no, have we just given that Frostlass energy? But we are able to Ice Shard down, and that is GG's. Using Hot Pockets team there, and now going into the next set of battles up against Engineer 6, using JBGWinsenHSV's team, who is the #1 in Germany and #2 in the world, who's got a really interesting team here with Munchlax, Galarian Stunfisk, Medicham, Glade, Frostlass, and Noctowl. So we'll see what we can do, and we are seeing that Shadow Lapras now on Engineer's side. We really have a great lead here with Medicham, so hoping that we don't mess it up. We don't have any fighting charge moves, so we are relying a little bit on that counter. We decide to go for the Ice Punch to try and maybe push a shield out of Engineer, but doesn't come through, so still going to add up some damage so we don't have to do as many counters, but going to burn the shield here on the second surf because we could not tank it at all. So 2 more counters and we should take out the Lapras, and we've got a Psychic ready to go onto whatever comes in, and it turns out to be the Medicham, so Psychic will definitely do a nice little bit of damage onto Medicham, assuming it goes through. And Medicham does let it go through, so almost down to the yellow, a couple more counters, we can get it to the yellow before going down. That Medicham does have a bit of health now, and there's no way we're bringing that Munchlax Spice Pick, so we bring in the Frostlass, does not catch the charge move, and we're able to swap into Munchlax when the G-Fist comes in. So we're going to charge up to the Bulldoze and then try and bait with the Body Slam, you know, kind of thinking that we can try and get some shields out of Engineer here. Eat the Earthquake because we know we knew that Munchlax was pretty bulky, so he's probably going to be able to tank an Earthquake, and definitely could. Not going to be able to tank another one though, so we go for the Body Slam bait here. We weren't quite at the Bulldoze, and I'm not sure if Engineer knew that or if they were just calling the bluff, but man, Body Slam does not do much damage to that Galarian Stunfisk. So going for another one now, and we do get the first shield out of Engineer, which is really nice, but they've still got a shield to go, and that Stunfisk has a fair bit of energy, so we're going to let this energy come through and take out our Munchlax here. I'm definitely not it doesn't even quite take it out. Lets another 2 Mudshots of energy go through, which is really unfortunate. Coming straight in and throwing the Avalanche now. It's pretty much a GG's at this point. I think I'm definitely not a Munchlax expert. I don't think I've used it before now in this cup, so I'm sure that JBG has some, like, you know, super Munchlax strats. I'm trying to figure them out on the fly, see if we can use Munchlax to our advantage, so we'll see if we can get some wins in these next 2 battles, because yeah, even though we had a really, really strong lead here, just didn't work out in our favour in the end. Rock Slide comes through, and in comes that Medicham, getting another charge move off, and this is going to take out the Frostlass. That is GG's there on game 1 of, like, set 2, team 2, world number 2. We're going in with Munchlax in the lead here, up against Lapras. So, again, not really sure how this is going to go. We've got Galarian Stunfisk and Glade in the back, both of which we're kind of thinking that probably have a better time here. We know that because Munchlax is so tanky, we're probably going to be able to tank that Shadow Surf, and we can. Definitely takes out a lot of health from the Munchlax because of that Shadow additional attack, so which is a little bit scary, so we'll see how we do. We go for this first Body Slam. Does do a nice chunk of damage back as well. Get this Body Slam off second before another Surf comes through, hoping that it doesn't get shielded, so we can kind of just get rid of this Lapras. Does get the shield though, and here comes another Surf. We decide that we're not going to get to another Body Slam before we're going to get taken out with the Lapras, so just let it come through, let Munchlax go down, not Machamp, bring in Glade to try and confusion that Lapras out of here before a charge move comes through, which we are able to do, which is really nice because a Glade with energy can be a little bit deadly. In comes a Medicham, and we're not throwing straight away, we're farming up extra energy, and in comes that G-Fisk, so going for the close combat here, trying to, you know, we'll take it out or get that last shield off the G-Fisk, and we get the last shield. So we were in a debuff situation, and we swap straight out into G-Fisk. Now that their G-Fisk is switch locked, we basically know that they don't have enough of an energy advantage where they could totally decimate us. So we don't shield the first one because we knew we could tank an Earthquake and then get an Earthquake off back. And they decide to go for the Rock Slide bait, which is really unfortunate for them. So now going for that Earthquake, which is going to take out the G-Fisk. Oh, not quite. One more one shot. Still holding on to both of our shields up against this Medicham, which we're kind of going to leave for Gallade. We're going to get this Earthquake off on the G-Fisk, which is basically going to weaken down the Medicham to the point where Leaf Blades are going to be enough to take it out. That does massive damage. We still have the 2 shields, and we're not quite going to be able to get a Rock Slide off before we go down. We get that last confusion we needed to get the Leaf Blade ready to go. So burn the first shield here is just an Ice Punch, and then we actually overtap, and the overtap ends up taking out the Medicham anyway. We did have the Leaf Blade ready to go, and we would have CMP tied it on the next one, so yeah, we're just going to game 3 here. Gallade Mirror Match, so we're kind of thinking that we can try and use Munchlax to our advantage. We end up getting a few licks in before the Leaf Blade goes through, so I'm thinking there was a little bit of lag there, but we can tank that Leaf Blade really well, actually. Gallade is one of those picks that Munchlax is able to beat according to the PvP poke sims in the 1 shield alongside Frostlass, which are 2 big picks that Gengineer was using in these battles. So Medicham does come in now, and because we're switch locked, it's a little rough, but we're getting a lot of damage off onto this Medicham with these Body Slams. So this Body Slam would basically like put Medicham into like dire straits territory, but it does burn the shield and takes us out. So we bring back in the Gallade. I think we were going to like attempt to get the Leaf Blade off first, but unfortunately we just weren't that quick enough. We ended up going for the confusions, and they get another charge move off before we click on any charge moves. Didn't realize they had that much energy, but we can tank the Ice Punch. At this point, just deciding to confusion down. We've got a lot of energy and not a lot of health to throw it with. So in comes that Gallade, and we go for the close combat, hoping that it doesn't get shielded so that Gallade can stick around. Doesn't get shielded, and we were trying to go for another close combat, not realizing that we didn't actually have enough energy for that. So if we got that off, we would have either burned the last shield off of the Stunfisk or done a real massive chunk of damage onto that G-Fisk, but instead we are into this spot, Frostlass vs G-Fisk, where G-Fisk skill has a shield and all of its health. So we're back into the situation of the first battle with this team that it's just an inescapable spot. So maybe I should have played around a bit and maybe not used Frostlass as much, try out some of the other picks, but I really just was trying to make Munchlax work as best as possible. If someone does have some really good Munchlax play and kind of wants to send it in, I'd definitely be interested in that. Hit me up on Twitter. Twitter links in the description below, so if you want to, message me on Twitter, message requests are open, so thank you for watching. We definitely had more success with Hot Pockets team, but I think that's just because I'm a little more used to the Pokemon that were used in Hot Pockets team. That's just how it goes though. But again, thank you to our patrons and also my supporters over on Twitch. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one. We still have a lot of days of December left. So there is a lot more daily content coming out of Stevens here. So do subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't seen yesterday's video about the Sylph content creators as well, definitely go give that a watch, just to kind of get a vibe for how many other Sylph content creators are out there that you can go and watch for some more content. And I will see you in the next video, whatever that may be. Thanks for sticking around.